You think buying your first mortgage-free home in the sun-baked suburbs of Arizona would feel like winning the lottery? Not when the neighborhood's self-appointed empress decides your moving truck is a direct assault on civilized living. I'd barely rolled past the stucco welcome sign of Mesquite Ridge Estates when I spotted her, Victoria Langford, planted dead center in the street like a human speed bump. Arms folded so tight her pearl necklace looked ready to snap, lemon-sour scowl hidden behind oversized sunglasses, clipboard clutched like a holy relic. She didn't move an inch as my 24-foot truck rumbled closer. Morning. I called out the window, keeping my voice level. I'm Ryan Beckett, 41, wildfire paramedic, the guy who runs into burning canyons for a living. But nothing in 10 years of dodging flames prepared me for Victoria. She tapped the clipboard with one manicured nail. Section 4.2 of the covenants clearly states, commercial vehicles exceeding 20 feet require 72 hours written notice to the board. You're in violation. The truck isn't parked, I said. It's moving. As in, I'm moving in. To the house I own outright. Victoria's smile could curdle milk. Intent doesn't matter. The aesthetic integrity of Mesquite Ridge does. Turn around and reschedule properly, Mr. Beckett. My buddy Miguel muttered from the passenger seat. Lady's got a death wish standing in front of 2 tons of steel. I killed the engine, stepped down, and walked straight up to her. Look, Victoria, I've got the deed, utility hookups, and city permits right here. You don't own the county road. She lifted her phone and started snapping photos, truck, plates, my face, like I was public enemy number 1. Smile for the violation notice. This will cost you $500 minimum. I pulled out my own phone. Section 7.1 of your own bylaws says no resident or board member shall obstruct legal access to private property. You're literally standing in the road. Want me to call the sheriff, or should we skip straight to you moving? Her laugh was pure vinegar. Go ahead. I golf with his wife. 15 minutes later, Sheriff Ramirez rolled up, took one look at the scene, and sighed the sigh of a man who'd done this dance before. Victoria launched into her sermon. Ramirez glanced at my paperwork, then back at her. Everything checks out, ma'am. County road. You don't get to play traffic cop. Victoria's face went the color of a bad sunburn. But the aesthetic is not a reason to block a man from his own driveway, Ramirez cut in. Move, or I cite you for obstruction. For the first time, her clipboard trembled. We rolled right past her folding chair while she shrieked something about future consequences. Miguel waved like we were in a parade. That night the first neon orange flyers appeared, taped to every door on the block like crime scene tape. Notice of noncompliance, unauthorized vehicle incursion pending disciplinary hearing. Victoria's signature looked like it had been scratched by an angry cat. Next morning my neighbor Dave, a retired contractor 3 houses down, wandered over with a flyer and a grin. Third time she's pulled this on a new guy. Last one sold in 6 months after she fined him for a hummingbird feeder. I started documenting everything. Photos, timestamps, screenshots of bylaws I'd downloaded at 2 a.m. I mounted porch cameras the way I'd rig a fire line. Calm, thorough, ready for the blaze. Day 3. A tow truck crept down the street like a vulture. The driver headed straight for my F-150 in the driveway. Reported as abandoned and leaking fluids, he mumbled. I opened the door, cranked the engine, revved it loud enough for the whole block to hear. Still runs perfect. Want to check under the hood? Then I showed him my phone. Photo of Victoria's own SUV parked 2 doors down with a HOA president placard. Section 9.3 says board vehicles are exempt from towing restrictions. Funny how that works. The driver backed off fast. That evening I dug deeper. A buddy at the county recorder's office owed me a favor from a brush fire rescue. Turns out Victoria had been quietly removed from a previous HOA board 2 valleys over after misplacing $28,000 in security upgrades that never existed. Lightning wiped her laptop, she claimed. Convenient. I printed every public record and labeled the folder, Her Majesty's Greatest Hits. The monthly board meeting was held in the clubhouse that smelled like lemon pledge and broken dreams. Victoria sat at the head like a queen on a throne of fake mahogany. Closed session, she snapped when I walked in. I smiled. Section 12, subsection D of your bylaws, says any homeowner may attend unless it's executive session. This isn't. So I'm staying. Carol, the treasurer, actually looked impressed. Victoria's jaw tightened, but she couldn't argue with her own rulebook. When she moved to fine me $800 for hostile behavior, I slid the manila envelope across the table. Public records, I said calmly. All verifiable. The previous HOA where you resigned right before an audit. The missing funds. The lightning story that somehow never made the police report. The room went graveyard quiet. Carol started flipping pages. Victoria reached for them. Carol pulled them back. Is this true? Another board member asked. Victoria's voice cracked. Ancient history. Irrelevant. Carol stood. I move we suspend all action against 423 Mesquite until legal counsel reviews these. Motion passed 3-1. Victoria looked like someone had yanked the rug out from under her throne. But I wasn't done. 2 days later, Carol, Dave, and a quiet accountant named Lisa showed up at my door with bank statements and a flash drive. The landscaping line item doesn't match the bank. $12,000 routed to Desert Glow Services, a company with no website, no address, just a P.O. box registered to Victoria's sister. I spent the night cross-referencing. Same shell company used for pool chemicals, signage, and emergency lighting, always just under the amount needing full board approval. Clever. Slimy. I drove the packet straight to the county DA's office. Assistant DA Morales didn't even blink. Misuse of homeowners association funds is felony territory. We'll open it today. The next afternoon, unmarked cars pulled into Victoria's driveway. I watched from my porch as deputies escorted her out, not in cuffs, but the message was crystal clear. Her husband's SUV was already being loaded with boxes from their garage. Word spread faster than desert fire. By evening, the whole block knew. The operating account frozen, subpoenas flying, Victoria's kingdom collapsing under the weight of the very rules she'd weaponized. The emergency community meeting packed the clubhouse. Carol chaired it now. Effective immediately, Victoria Langford is removed from the board. We're forming a homeowner oversight committee. No single signatures, quarterly audits, full transparency. Someone in the back actually clapped. Then the whole room joined in. A week later, the DA held a press conference. 5 felony counts: embezzlement, wire fraud, falsifying documents, and using community property as collateral for a personal loan to a shady real estate group circling distressed HOAs. Victoria and her sister were indicted. A judge issued a lifetime ban from any HOA board in the county. The block party that weekend had no permits, no clipboard, no Victoria. Just barbecue smoke, kids on bikes, and laughter that carried all the way to the desert hills. Dave handed me a cold beer. You didn't just move in, Ryan. You woke the neighborhood up. I looked around at neighbors who finally felt like neighbors instead of suspects. The air smelled like mesquite and freedom. True or false? The real abuser of power was the homeowner who dared to fight back, or the HOA president who wrapped tyranny in the pretty bow of community standards until her own rules dragged her down. Drop your answer below. Because in Mesquite Ridge, the only thing more satisfying than moving in is watching the queen who tried to stop you finally get dethroned.